see. I think about where I've been and where I'm gonna be. I listen to her endless sounds as the water moves on by this river so many times. It just never heard her song. I've walked the streets and I've seen your walls, and I know I've sung the song. I've been waiting for that David man to come down and take me home. Lord, I'm coming out to you.
Thank you so much. We are going to sing one last song for you this evening, B'Tfilah Amen, a song from the Israeli Eurovision competition in the early 1990s. Thank you so much. We are Tizmoret from Queens College. This is B'Tfilah Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It's my privilege to be presenting the Brandeis Award to Mr. Myron Zimmerman of San Francisco, California. Myron is a great real estate entrepreneur, but that's not what he'll be remembered for. That's not what God will bless him for, and not why Hashem will ensure for Myron Zimmerman his rewards and a share in the world to come. The good and lasting reputation of this extraordinary man and the blessings Myron Zimmerman will receive is for his deep love for and deep commitment to and actions for the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael. Myron's heartfelt mission is to do all he can to ensure the survival and the thriving of our people and of Israel. A major part of Myron's motivation comes from his clear understanding of the real dangers confronting our Jewish homeland, from radical Islam to Jew-hating terrorists and painfully misguided policies of many countries around the world, tragically, right now, including our own. Myron lives and breathes these concerns, but he doesn't just throw up his hands in frustration, in disgust. He acts and he motivates. He makes things happen for our people. In his brilliant analytical way, he discerns what paths will bear the most fruit, what groups will make the biggest impact, and he nourishes them and oversees them and inspires them. Myron Zimmerman has a special understanding that our young Jewish children are not only our future, but are our political and moral soldiers who will need to protect all of us and fight for all of us. Myron is helping to ensure that young Jewish people know how to respond to the hateful and absurdly false propaganda lies that we see on campuses today, that we see in the media and even in speeches, and to ensure that we all more forcefully and effectively tell the truth using every venue at our disposal of the ugly Arab war against Israel, not the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Arab war against Israel. Myron also wants to increase the likelihood that Jews remain Jewish, remain committed to Israel. That's why he's a major supporter of Sheldon and Miriam Adelson's Birthright program. Myron is involved financially and intellectually with 50 different Jewish organizations, thank God, including the Zionist Organization of America. Myron, you have not only become a wonderful supporter of ZOA's programs and agenda, you have become my personal dear friend. We enjoy the times together frequently, our weekends together at your beautiful ranch in Northern California, where I caught my very first fish, and right now it's still my only fish, I might add. And the warm conversations that we have regularly. You have also, by the way, Myron, helped inspire changing my diet and lifestyle so I can look almost as good as you. Maybe, not quite. Mr. Myron Zimmerman, I want to ask you to join me by my side. It is my great honor and privilege, Mr. Zimmerman, Mr. Myron Zimmerman, to present you with the distinguished ZOA Louis Brandeis Award for outstanding work on behalf of our people and our ancient homeland. Mr. Myron Zimmerman.
Thank you.
Very happy. We can ship it to you. Okay, I'll put it back on the table.
Thank you, Mort. So many wonderful speakers tonight. I'm not going to take your time. I just can't get over the speeches that Michelle Bachman and Mort Klein gave tonight. We really need to appreciate those speeches. They said so much. Well, it's amazing what you can do when you're handy with money. Thank you.
Accepting the award for Best Speech of the Evening. Okay, Mort, you're going to introduce us.
It is really an enormous honor for me to present the presenter, Dr. Miriam Adelson, Mr. Sheldon Adelson. ZOA is so honored that you have allowed ZOA to create the prestigious Adelson Award that you will be presenting to Governor Huckabee. I remember bringing up this award, Sheldon and Dr. Adelson, the possibility of this award at your beautiful penthouse apartment in Tel Aviv. In fact, I remember I was having dinner there with my wife, Rita. The doorbell rang. I don't know if you remember this. And who walked in through the door was Benjamin Netanyahu. And he came into the dining room, saw me sitting there with my wife, with Sheldon Adelson, Dr. Miriam Adelson, in total shock, seeing me there with you, and said, "Mort, you know Sheldon and Miriam?" I said, no, I was hungry. They let me have dinner. I stayed too long. I stayed until there was no food left, but that never happened. And when I asked you if I could set up this Dr. Miriam Adelson and Sheldon Adelson Award, you repeatedly said, no, I don't deserve it. I said, don't be ridiculous. Yes, you and Miri do deserve it. Sheldon and Miri, it was one of the few arguments that Sheldon Adelson has ever lost. Sheldon, did your parents, by the way, would they ever have believed that their son would make Adelson a household name? It's really unbelievable. I'm sure they're looking up from heaven in shock and honor, knowing what you did with your life. And Dr. Miri Adelson and Dr. Sheldon Adelson, would your parents have believed about what you've done for Holocaust remembrance, for Jewish education, and for Eretz Yisrael? I wonder if they would have believed the extraordinary things you've done. You and Miri are truly global humanitarians and global philanthropists. You are truly the Rothschilds of our generation. And we have a picture, we have a banner in front showing Sheldon there with Rothschild and Abigail Silver and Louis Brandeis and others. You commit your resources to major Jewish causes and medical research causes, from Birthright to Yad Vashem, to ZOA, thank God, to the Adelson Day School in Las Vegas, to major and important projects that help benefit the health of all of us in this room and all of us around the world. Sheldon, you are an extraordinary business leader, and Dr. Miri Adelson, you're an extraordinary director of drug rehabilitation centers in Tel Aviv and Las Vegas. You still work for a living, Miri. It's just astonishing. Your passion to do something for people. So I would ask if possible, if Miri and Sheldon could join me for a moment as I ask you to present the Adelson Award. And Sheldon and Miri, as a small token of our appreciation, this is a mezuzah that we hope you will consider putting somewhere in your home, in one of the doorposts as required by the Torah. And I've been privileged. Here we go. I've been privileged to be at your brand new home in Las Vegas, and I can only say one thing after you walk me through your entire house. This is exactly the home that God would live in if he could afford it.
If we could afford it.
And also, we have for Dr. Miriam Adelson, as a token of our appreciation, in addition to the mezuzah, thank you for all you do, a bouquet of flowers. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Fit beautifully in our new home.
Thank you.
So I give you Dr. Sheldon, Mr. Sheldon Adelson, and Dr. Miriam Adelson. Thank you very much.
Something first? You say something after.
I won't say anything.
Mort, can you hear me? Good. I don't want you to get the titles confused. She's the doctor, I'm the patient. So you can call me Patient Sheldon. Let me rethink how patient I am.
Oh, you got some honorary doctorates.
Yes. So I'm an honorary patient. You know, sometimes it's a bigger honor for the person who introduces the honoree than it is for the honoree. However, in this case, as a Zionist, and we're at the ZOA, I don't think many people in the United States are as strong Zionist as a non-Jewish person, a man of the clergy, a great politician. Don't worry, Michelle, I think you're great too. So it's an honor for me and Mary to introduce Mike Huckabee. I should get my glasses back. I can't read without my glasses. Mike Huckabee served.
You want mine?
No, I'm only kidding. As the 44th governor of Arkansas from 1996 to 2007, one of the youngest governors in the country at the time, which he'd also like to be again today. No, not the governor, but younger. He attracted the largest percentage of the vote ever received by a Republican presidential nominee in Arkansas, gubernatorial nominee in Arkansas, and was reelected in 2002. He was a candidate in the 2008 United States Republican presidential primaries, finishing second in delegate count. Mike Huckabee is the author of several best-selling books. That's more than I've read. An ordained Southern Baptist minister. He gave me a bracha while we're eating. An accomplished musician and an ABC radio political commentator. He is the host of Huckabee on Fox News Channel, FNC, which I saw last night. I actually saw him when we flew over the United States border. I was able to turn it on. And who was on the TV? Mike Huckabee, which airs on Saturday evenings. Governing Magazine named him as one of the public officials of the year for 2005, and Time Magazine honored him as one of the 5 best governors in America. But tonight, we're not honoring Governor Mike Huckabee for being a great governor, presidential candidate, or great public servant. We're honoring him for his love of and activism for Israel, at which I've seen him on more than one occasion. We've stayed in the same hotel. Sometimes we missed each other. We crossed by each other in the elevator. Many people have called Governor Huckabee America's leading Christian Zionist. He preaches and proclaims that the land of Israel was promised to the modern-day Jews by God, and that the Jews have a God-given right to reclaim their land given to their ancestors and taken away from them. He has called the potential division of Jerusalem unimaginable. He often says in speeches and on his TV show that there is only one country that mirrors America in its promotion of liberty, freedom, and the right to exercise one's faith. That country is Israel. His passion for the protection and security of Israel may even exceed that of most Jews. He first visited Israel as a teenager in July of 1973 and has now visited several dozen times, bringing thousands of Christians on Huckabee trips every year that he arranges. Actually, he's starting to compete with Birthright. I might add that ZOA's Morton Klein has spoken to his groups in Israel many times. Governor Huckabee has spoken at many Night to Honor Israel events established by Pastor Hagee and has brought numerous Israeli leaders to appear on his TV show. His position has always been, you don't negotiate with people who don't believe you have a right to exist. Let alone live next to you. And you should never trust radical Islamic fascists to keep their word and be nice. He supports Israel building homes in the territories as rapidly as you can and as much as you can until there's a real agreement. Governor Huckabee supports a Palestinian state, but it should be formed outside of Israel. The Arabs have far more land than the Israelis, he says, and it's only fair for the other Arab nationals to give the Palestinians land for a state rather than carving it out of tiny Israel, because they have 500 times as much land as the state of Israel. He's also spoken out on moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Actually, I asked him to support that because I want to buy the ambassador's house in Herzliya. And he won't move from there until they move the embassy to Jerusalem. And to releasing, he's spoken out to release Jonathan Pollard and condemn the nonsense of going back to the 1967 borders. Governor Huckabee is a great person, a great American, and a great Zionist. It is my honor to present the Dr. Miriam and Sheldon Adelson Award for the Defense of Israel to Zionist and pro-Israel activist Governor Mike Huckabee.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. The introduction was a lot better than the speech.
Sure it is.
It's the declaration
Don't get
of the
this
state.
confused with a ketubah. Where you pay for your wife and 1,000 tickets. But since you probably can't read that anyway,
It's
I
the
think
declaration of
I'm going to have to have it translated.
yeah,
so-
get it.
Declaration of the State of Israel.
All right, here we go. All right. All right. Okay. Thank
Says
you
the
very much.
declaration of the State of Israel.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is very, very nice.
1,000 cows and 1,000 chickens to the wife.
Coach, I hope not. Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you very, very much. It's an honor to be with you guys. Thank you. Thanks. This is truly one of those occasions when the introduction is far, far better than the speech. And a very smart man would get up here at this point and just say, "Thank you very much," and dismiss you all. But I've never been that smart when it came to giving me a podium. And so don't expect it. But I will try to temper my remarks and be as brief as it is possible for somebody who has been both a Baptist pastor and a politician. That combination does not do well. There's two things that typically you know when you're in the presence of either one. Number one, the speech is going to be a while. Number two, I'm going to ask for money. So will the ushers come forward and we'll receive. I genuinely want to say to Sheldon and Dr. Miriam how much I'm honored, how grateful I am for the extraordinary opportunity to be with you, and truly for the kind things that you said. But I also want it to be very clearly understood that one of the reasons that I am so very grateful for this extraordinary and prestigious honor is because it's being awarded by an organization that I believe represents the strongest Jewish voice on the planet today, the Zionist Organization of America. And thank you, Morton Klein and the ZOA. When so many other organizations are afraid to maybe ruffle feathers, Morton Klein and ZOA doesn't mind plucking the chicken. And that's the way it ought to be these days. This is no time for us to be timid. This is no time for us to be just polite when it comes to the actual existential existence of the nation of Israel. We're no longer talking about whether or not Israel is going to just have a little bit more land or a little bit less land, especially in light of the ridiculous agreement that was announced last night. We are now talking about the survival of the existence of the Jewish state. It is no time to be timid. And I thank the ZOA for the clarity of their voice, and I hope that other Jewish organizations will get over their sore throats and find their way to speak clearly and make it absolutely understood that the idea that you're going to trust Iran with being able to keep all that nuclear material, but somehow we know they're really not going to build it into a weapon, is like handing a 16-year-old a gallon of whiskey and the keys to a BMW and asking him to drive very carefully when he takes his girlfriend out. We know better. And the world should know better. I watched the president last night speak. You know, it must be pretty significant when he opens up to make a nationally televised speech at 10:30 at night. And I listened with shock. And I thought, it is apparent that he actually believes that he can trust the Iranians. The same people that deny the Holocaust, the same people that shoot 20-year-old women in the streets because they disputed a rigged election, the same people that not only once held Americans hostage, but on this very night continue to hold an American pastor hostage and falsely imprison him, and not one word said. And when asked why that particular situation with Pastor Abedini did not come up in the negotiations, which would have been an easy, low-hanging piece of fruit to pick, the official administration response was, we only wanted to focus on the issue of the nuclear weaponry. I assure you that a nation that will hold Americans hostage and offer nothing is a nation that cannot be trusted. And if anybody believes in the integrity of the Iranians in this undertaking, all I can say is I would like to believe it. But I'd like to believe in leprechauns and unicorns too. But I don't. And the only thing that I can find that is more distressful in having to say that I do not trust the Iranians in any agreement that they say they are signing is the fact that I don't anymore trust our own government very much, because repeatedly they have lied to us, whether it's about Benghazi, whether the IRS is targeting pro-Israel and conservative groups. And it's hard to trust them. After the president spoke, John Kerry spoke. In fact, I think he is still speaking. He was talking and talking and talking, and finally I had to turn to the cartoon channel just for relief. Here's the tragedy, my dear friends. Today, in this very delicate environment we face with terrorism around the world, this is a time when this world needs a Churchill. And unfortunately, we have a Chamberlain. It is Israel that has the Churchill in Benjamin Netanyahu, and we need to be standing with him, not embarrassing him before the rest of the world. When Anne spoke earlier so eloquently in receiving her award, I thought, as she so clearly reminded us why, of the nonsense of believing that the UN is worth billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars. How I wish that somehow we could put her in charge of U.S. policy toward the UN for just 30 minutes. I think it's all it would take. I'm pretty sure Anne would do what I've suggested we should do, and that's get jackhammers out there on the East River and jackhammer the whole thing off, let it float off into the East River, and if there's any country in the world who would like to pay as much for the worthlessness of it as we're paying, good luck and Godspeed in having it. The United Nations has taken our money, and they have insulted us with the notion that they give more credibility to the Iranians than they do to the nation of Israel. And I, for the life of me, do not understand how they can do that. I do not understand how the United States can stand by silently and allow it to happen. I do not understand how that we cannot understand that the relationship that the United States has with the nation of Israel, as I have so often said, is not an organizational relationship based on our mutual interest in military technology or scientific advancement or our medical advancement. It is not an organizational relationship at all. It is an organic relationship that is based on the mutual understanding that the greatest gift that God gives to a human being is the ability to be free, to speak freely, to think freely, to dream, to imagine, to become all that he or she was destined by the Creator to be. And when one is under a totalitarian government like exists in so many of the Islamic fascist countries of the world, it is impossible for a person to live to one's potential. And the only nation on this planet that so closely mirrors our own history of escaping from the galloping tyranny that we escaped from and declared our independence from in 1776 is the nation of Israel. The miraculous nation that after 2,000 years of being scattered on the earth and numerous attempts to annihilate the very Jewish people from the face of the earth, not only have been able to survive, but now thrive as one of the truly great bastions of freedom and independence in the entire world today. And that's why our relationship with Israel is not about some political convenience. It's whether or not we're serious when we say that freedom is the most important thing that a nation can grant to its people. Because Israel does it, and we must do it as well, and stand with those who do. When Sheldon shared some of the things in the introduction, there was nothing he said that wasn't correct. I do believe that the borders of Israel were not established by the United Nations or the Balfour Agreement. They were established by God Almighty as given to Abraham. And that title deed still exists today. And we don't have the prerogative to change it. I still believe that you cannot negotiate with people who do not believe you have the right to breathe. I do not think you can sit down at the table and give something away that, first of all, is not yours to give away, and second of all, can't be given to people who have decided that their main purpose for their next breath is to kill you. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that there is no negotiation until there is an acceptance and an acknowledgement, openly, publicly, and in writing, that Israel has a right to its homeland, to its borders, in a safe and secure environment. And until not just the Iranians, but the other countries of the world are willing to put that down in writing, the United States should never give up its vigilance in saying, we will stand with Israel, and an attack upon her is an attack upon us, because an attack upon her is an attack upon a free people. They are a free people. We are a free people. You cannot